Okay, so where are you from? Are you Palestinian?
I'm Palestinian, yes.
Where in Palestine are you from?
I'm from a small village near Ramallah.
What's the name of it?
Betin.
Okay. I have a question. Why do you have T people on your profile pic? Are you rage baiting? Do you support them? I'm just curious.
Well, I support resisting the occupation. I don't really.
So you basically support violence.
I support violent. Well, we're facing violence all the time, so I
Yeah, but
support.
Polly, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you think it's helpful to like continue the cycle, right? For the T organizations to continue doing their T attacks, so Israel
But
keeps on,
but
whatever, attacking them back. I'm just pointing out to you. Let me just give you an example, like in the West Bank, like the Israelis, the IDF doesn't go into like Jenin and Nablus, all these places. They leave it alone unless someone comes from Jenin or Nablus and comes and like unalives like an Israeli, right? And then they go do a raid, and it's a whole big hoopla. People get injured, and people get unalived, and all this happens. So if the T people, the Jenin Brigade and the H Group and West Bank and Al-Aqsa Mars Brigade, all these people just kind of stuck to themselves, did their own thing, whatever, did their things in there, like Jenin Brigade and Jenin, and didn't come out of Area A, Area B, and go bother Israelis in Area C, the Israelis wouldn't go fuck with them. So here's my thing, right? Don't you think it's counterproductive if you're gonna do violence? Yeah, you're gonna get the satisfaction of unaliving some random person, but
Mhm.
what are you gonna get in return, right? You're gonna get unalived. You're gonna get your people injured. You're gonna have destruction to your property. Like I feel like the cons outweigh the pros.
Okay, so I'm a very
I'm just saying, like
respectful.
with October 7th, right? Some people
Right,
say, well, October 7th was worth it, right? But considering everything Gaza's lost, I would
right,
say the cons outweigh the pros.
right. Okay. Will you give me a chance to speak though?
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Great.
Please use TikTok friendly words. Go ahead.
Sure, sure. Okay. So, from your perspective, right, you're looking at it as uh, people attacking Israelis first, and then the Israelis respond, right? This is how you see it.
I'm looking at, if I was a Palestinian,
Hmm.
I mean, I would be looking at it as, because I've heard Gazans say this, like, it hasn't freed Palestine. It hasn't gotten anything for us. It's just gotten us boomed, unalived, injured, our infrastructure. Like, what is shooting rockets and attacking Israel accomplished Palestine? Some people say, oh, the world knows. But the world cared way before, and you as a Palestinian know this. The world was paying attention way before October 7th. We didn't need October 7th for the world to pay attention.
Well, I don't think it was a PR stunt, right? But what I
I mean,
think
I think it was
happened.
partly definitely a PR stunt. I definitely think that H Group wants to have as much propaganda and as much to blame Israel for as they possibly can.
But Israel has a lot to be blamed for.
Right, because you hate
No,
Israel and everything is Israel's fault, and you probably don't accept that the Palestinians do anything wrong. Do the
no,
Palestinians
no,
do
no.
anything? Do the Palestinians do anything wrong? Is it wrong to
The
go on a live and
Palestinians, the
essay and kidnap
Palestinians,
old people and babies? I mean, I don't know.
100,
Are you against? Are you against
100%.
kidnapping? I mean,
I'm 100% against kidnappings and killing of any
unaliving,
civilians.
unaliving,
On
unaliving.
sorry,
So I have a
unaliving.
question. So you would mind like if your sister was kidnapped, that would bother you?
Of course it would, and it bothers
Okay.
me that Israelis were kidnapped, civilians, right? But I have no
But you're
sympathy.
okay with like
I have
military people being kidnapped, even
sure.
though they're fathers, brothers, sons, daughters.
The,
As long as they've
they're
been in the
called.
IDF,
It's
you're like
called.
okay
It's
with it.
called the prisoner of war. It's allowed in
I
international.
hate to break it to you, but I listen. I'm not an expert on war, definitely
Mhm.
not. But from what I understand, a prisoner in war has to actually be fighting you, right? And it has to actually be engaged in combat. A lot of those people who were IDF that you guys actually kidnapped were just hiding. They weren't even engaging in combat. They weren't even trying to fight back H group. Okay, so just want to point out to you that
They.
there might have been some people who
What were
are
they doing?
fighting
What
back,
were they? What were they doing?
but at the same time, some people were just trying to spare their lives, right? Because they were being attacked. Remember, H group did an offensive attack, right? So
Mhm.
they offensively attacked. So if someone came and attacked me, whether I was an IDF soldier or not, I would try to save myself. Of course, anybody would. You would too if somebody came and attacked you.
Sure,
So I
sure.
just think, honestly, to I think this whole prisoner of war thing. I think a lot of times it doesn't follow under the prisoner of war thing. That's just my take on it. I could be wrong. I'm not a
If there
lawyer.
were military personnel and military bases near the Gaza Strip, right?
Right.
They were there to do what? To enforce the blockade that's been there for
To
20
enforce
years.
the blockade.
Right. So
Why? Let me ask you a question. Why is there a blockade? Do you know?
because they didn't like the results of the election.
Because H Group is a tea organization. They used to go blow themselves up in buses, nightclubs, and Pesach Seders and yeshivas and unalive scores of people, so they didn't want a repeat of that.
Because the peace
All right,
process
let me ask you a question.
keeps
Are you are
failing,
you
and
are you
Israel keeps
pro people blowing themselves up to unalive other people?
no.
Okay. So
Not
so
not
you're
not if
against
it
you're
not if
against the
there's
fact
not if
that
there's not
H
if
Group
there's
you're
civilians involved.
okay, so let me get I gotta quote you on this. So you're telling me if you're let's say you go to a military base and
Mm,
you go, which didn't happen by the way, it was civilian areas. But putting that aside, let's just put a hypothetical. You go to a military base, you strap on a boom boom and you blow yourself up and unalive whatever, soldiers, whatever you want to call them. You're pro that. You think that's are you Muslim?
yes.
You think that's allowed to go unalive yourself to unalive other people? You
N-
believe
I,
that?
I don't think you're allowed to unalive yourself.
Okay. So you're like okay. So as long as they didn't unalive themselves, you're okay
Right.
with them boom booming. Just don't unalive yourself.
So let me give you an example. If somebody were to carry an IED or something and plant it into a military base and walk away, and it's in an occupied land, it's a military base inside the West Bank. Yeah, I'm with it.
Okay, but if they do it like in a crowded bus,
And
like
if there's civilians involved, no,
okay, so a majority time when H group and all these other T groups unalive people, I would say 9 times out of 10 it's civilians. I mean,
for sure,
someone could probably
for sure,
correct the numbers, but
for sure,
most of the time it's civilians. I mean, the
for
whole
sure.
idea that it's like a majority IDF is just
I'm
not.
against that. For sure, I'm against that.
Okay, so then why do you have their picture in your profile pic? I mean, it's kind of
Well, those are helmets of Israeli soldiers. You don't see that? Zoom in.
so this is like
This
an
is a
A, this is
this is
an
a
AI
Qassam
generated.
soldier.
This is an AI generated photo of the Qassam soldiers with helmets
Right.
of Israeli soldiers.
Correct.
Can I ask you a question? Since you feel so strongly about the resistance, would you go? Since you're such like a tough guy, would you go fight in the resistance against the IDF? Would you go? Like if someone said, "We'll give you a free ticket to Gaza or the West Bank, and you can go pew pew some Israeli soldiers," would you do that?
I wouldn't do it personally. No,
You wouldn't, but you want other people to do it.
I'm. I stand with the people that decide to do
Oh,
it.
but if you stand with them, then why did like I don't understand. It's like you want H group and all them to put the Palestinians at risk.
I want them to help the
How
Palestinians
how have
gain their
they? Let
freedom.
me ask you a question. How have they ever helped the Palestinians get their freedom? Let me ask you a question. Are the Palestinians
How
Hold on,
has
Polly,
signing
I'm
peace
not done with my
agreements?
question yet. I'm not done with my
Go
question
ahead.
yet. When the T groups do T attacks,
Hmm.
more settlements are built. They lose their work permits. They lose their medical permits. More restrictions are put on them. More checkpoints go up. More walls go up. The IDF goes and raids and unalives their people, injures
Hmm.
their people, destroys infrastructure. They boom
I
boom
agree.
Gaza. All these
I
things.
agree.
So what I'm saying is, but there's no free Palestine, right? It's not
I
closer to a Palestinian state. They haven't gained 1 inch of land. They've actually lost because, like I said, more settlements are built. Their homes are demolished. All these things happen.
right.
So again, like insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. It's banging your head against the wall and expecting a different result besides a concussion. Like honestly,
Right.
I just think like the T groups need to try a more productive, different method. Because I'll
Well,
tell
we
you something,
tried
the people hold
the
on, let me just say
Palestinian
one more
people.
thing. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Because I know people who peacefully resist, and the people who have peacefully resist, and if you want some examples, I can give them to you, have accomplished more for the Palestinians than the people who go around, committing T attacks.
Hmm. Okay. Now, here's how you have to look at it from the Palestinian perspective, right?
Go ahead, go for it.
We came in, right? There was no anti-Semitism, accusations of us hating Jews, right? Between the time that they went to Camp David and signed the Oslo Accords,
There
right? When
wasn't. Did you have you
the,
have you ever watched? How old are you? Did you live through that? Because I've
I
actually
did live
watched
through that.
documentaries on
I'm
this,
I'm
and
I'm I'm
there's a lot of
46.
people. There's a lot of people who were against the Oslo Accords. Actually, you guys talk about
Yes,
people
on
protesting in
on
Israel.
on the Israeli side, they were against it. On the Palestinian
Right, right,
side, there were some
right,
people
right. Because
against
they
it.
were against it because they thought that the Palestinians hated them. So I just want to point out to you that like the anti like the thought of like Palestinians not liking Jews or
Right.
whatever has been around since the Ottomans.
Can I please,
The Palestinians have been there.
may I ask just one little request? Like, could
Go
you give
ahead.
me a chance to like finish my
No,
thought?
you're
Because
not making any sense. Go ahead.
okay, what I'm saying is, when there was hope for peace, right, in the early '90s, I was there. Right, people were
How old are
celebrating in the
you?
streets.
How old are you? How
I'm
old are you?
46. I'm
You're 46,
46.
and you were in Israel at that time.
I was in Palestine at the time.
Well, where
Yes.
were you? The West Bank or the State of Israel?
No, I was in the West Bank.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. And when the Palestinian Authority came into the West Bank, people had such high hopes, and we were celebrating in the streets, and people were, the Palestinian Authority came in, and we're finally going to have peace. What happened instead? Settlements kept growing.
Polly. Hold on. With all due respect, I gotta correct you here. Let me tell you something. I know people who are like 70 years old who went to Israel pre-Oslo. And I was actually talking to a Palestinian in the West Bank about this the other day, who currently lives in the West Bank. Before the Intifada screwed everything up, because really it was the Intifadas that made everything fall apart. If you're not accepting that, you're not accepting reality. But putting
The
that
first or the
aside,
second?
let me.
The first or the second?
Both of them were problematic, but
But
putting
the
that.
first one brought the Oslo Accords, didn't it?
Listen. I think honestly, you can't reward violence with 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 something and expect it to work. Because
Israelis were
no,
rewarded with a state through
Polly, I'm
violence.
almost done. I'm trying to make my point. My point is,
Were you not rewarded a
I'm
state through
I'm
violence?
trying,
Was
Polly,
Israel not
Polly,
rewarded a
I'm trying
state
to
through
say
violence?
something. Polly, I'm trying to explain to you, but you're not listening. What happened was, if you're saying that was like the result of it, then again, what happened? More violence. So we learned that if we reward violence, then we get more violence. So, but putting that aside, what my point that I was trying to make before you interrupted me was, there were people that were there pre-Oslo who went to, they said back before the PA and Area A and Area B and the walls and the checkpoints, basically people could travel freely, right? You could go from the West Bank to Israel, you could go to Gaza to Israel. There were no walls, there were no checkpoints. This was pre-Oslo. Oslo, whatever, and everything that happened after it created these things, this atmosphere. It's not that there weren't T attacks before, but when people decided to go below them, like went to the extreme, again, it caused all these things to happen. So I just want to say, people say it was the golden years pre-Oslo when people could travel and there
It
was
was the golden year for the Israelis. It wasn't golden
no
year for the
Palestinians.
Palestinians.
I got
It
that
was
term.
not.
I got that term from the Palestinians because a Palestinian said that because he said that basically, yes, things weren't perfect. Of course, there was still an occupation. I'm not saying that things were great, but compared to like what things are today, compared because people could travel freely and it was freedom of movement and there weren't checkpoints, there weren't walls. Things were much better then. I hear Israelis and Palestinians say that, and Jewish people have been there. Putting that aside, the situation since October 7th, because that was another extreme set of attacks, has made another even harder for the Palestinians because now they can't get work permits from Gaza, they can't get medical permits from Gaza. Like all these things, little by little, you're eroding any quote unquote freedom you had. First, the Intifadas brought the checkpoints in the walls, but there were still work permits in medical. Now, October 7th, they can't come in at all. That's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is all these things that happen are eroding away. And again, the two-state solutions that you were offered several times, not just during Oslo, are never going to be offered again because the Israelis have such fear of you guys attacking from West Bank like you have from Gaza if there was a state in the West Bank and Gaza. So I'm just saying, like, all these things, there's an expression called burning your own bridges. You're burning your own bridges and just making your lives harder. And the fact that you don't see that and you think that somehow violence solves something and it somehow has done something for the Palestinians is
I'll
the
tell
reason
you
why
why.
your cause is
I'll
losing.
tell you why it'll solve. If
What
you
will
let me
solve?
just finish your thought, I if you
Go ahead.
notice when you start explaining your point of view, I let you complete your thought all the way through.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell me.
Now,
What will violence
what's
of
happening
Palestinians
now
solve?
with the awareness, whether you agree with it or not, what's happening with the awareness of how when people actually start studying the history of what happened on this land, right? Since pre 1948, what's happening? What happened with the violence? Even though I think it's horrible, it's terrible, and the conditions for the Palestinians have gotten significantly worse since October 7th. I completely agree. But what happened is the eyes of the world have opened. Yes, they were aware of problems, Jews, Palestinians, Israelis, Arabs. They weren't really sure what was happening. But
Hold on now, Polly. I just got to say one thing to you. There were a lot of people who were sure what was happening. Listen, the people who have latched on since October 7th, I truly believe, and you probably don't agree with me on this, I truly believe that, like, the reason why they've latched on is several reasons. Some of them truly feel bad for what's going on. A lot of them because it's a trending topic. A lot of them because they're bored. A lot of them because they're paid or whatever. They're getting money, something from this. Like, this is a big moneymaker. This conflict is a big moneymaker and a big social media booster. You don't know how many people, I'll tell you something, you don't know how many people within the last month I've seen all of a sudden become Israel advocates or pro-Palestine advocates, and their TikTok accounts
I
have blown,
see,
like
I
blown up.
see,
Like,
I
and
see.
they're totally not connected to the conflict. They're not Palestinian. They're not Jewish. They're not Israeli. They just are like, okay, I'm gonna start talking about this because I want 2,000 likes on my video.
Mhm.
So I just think honestly, like there's a big motivation outside of like actually caring, and
There's
actually wanting to help.
there's definitely a lot of that. Definitely a lot of that for sure. So just getting back to it. What's happening though is if this does not come to a just solution, if this does not come to a just solution, Israel will turn into a pariah state. I actually like Jews. I like Jews a lot.
Sure, you do.
And I really do. I really like Jews. I just
Okay,
don't
okay. So I
like.
just want to say something, Polly. I just want to say something, Polly.
Uh,
Listen, you saying Israel's going to turn to, I mean, a lot of people have hated Israel for a long time. I think it's,
yeah, but not like
but I just want
this.
to point out, Polly, I just want to point out, Egypt just signed a $35 billion gas deal with Israel, right? Okay. So obviously they're not very unhappy with Israel now. Jordan has tons of deals with Israel. United Arab Emirates is making billions of dollars off a year off trade with Israel. And whatever, if you want to say money's the motivator, that's fine. It doesn't even matter. The point is they're at peace. Morocco, Sudan, there's more people that are about to add to the Abraham Accords.
Mm.
Syria might join.
You
They're
you
even saying Lebanon might join.
you're
I'm just
speaking
saying,
of you're speaking of
Polly,
governments.
I just want to point out to you, Polly, I'm just saying something. Let me finish. My point is that, like, yeah, there are countries that are upset with Israel, but there are also a lot of countries that are making friends with Israel.
Absolutely,
Trump has
100%.
got to be the most pro-Israel president we've ever had.
One hundred
Uh,
percent. Let me ask you a question though,
Go
very
ahead.
quickly.
And
You
I just
said
want to point out to you,
you
Polly,
s-
if you didn't
you, s-
hear,
you said
German, hold on, I just want to say one thing you probably didn't hear. German did an arms embargo on Israel, true, but then the weapons company that makes the weapons in Germany said, well, if you're going to do an arms embargo against Israel, we're moving our factories to America. So now the arms company in Germany is no longer going to be there, it's going to be in America. So I think that people, honestly, there's a lot of like people who are involved in this who don't agree with some of the decisions these European countries are doing, and they're going to either find a workaround, like moving their companies,
one
or they're
hundred
going to find
percent,
another
one
way.
hundred
Go ahead.
percent. Listen,
But you just said they're turning into a
ultra
pariah.
high net worth individuals and owners of these weapons manufacturers companies, they don't care who cuts the relationship. They could always find a workaround. They'll get their weapons. What I'm trying to tell you is, you're saying Israel signed a 30 billion, whatever,
35.
35 billion guys. But let me ask you a question is, let me ask you this question. Can a family of Israelis, settlers, dressed in Orthodox Jewish clothes, can they go strolling safely into the streets of Cairo and have a good time? Let me
Okay,
ask.
so Polly, I want to say something to you.
Go ahead.
And I want you to let me finish before you answer.
Hmm.
Anti-Semitism is as old as the Bible, as old as Jews have been around.
Hmm.
Okay? It doesn't matter if it's the year 2025 or if it was 30, 40 years ago. That situation hasn't changed, right? That if you're, again, there's this one Jewish guy who travels around the world. He's been to Yemen. He's been like everywhere. But I agree with you, right? He doesn't wear yarmulke. He doesn't
Hmm.
wear Hasidic clothes. Like he probably doesn't scream from the hilltops that he's Jewish. So
Now,
he's fine. But what I'm trying to say to you is he did that like 10, 15 years ago. He's been around forever. So what I'm trying to point out to you is that people not being able to be visibly Jewish in certain countries has
but I
been
want
a
to.
thing. Polly, I'm almost done. I said, don't interrupt me. Has been a thing like since these countries like for a very long time. So I'm just saying this is not anything new. This is not anything new.
Uh,
I just want to point out that my friend dressed like a Hasidic Jew and went to Morocco. Right? I saw her Instagram stories. Like
sure.
honestly, I think there's places, you can go to United Arab Emirates and dress like a Hasidic Jew. There's a kabbat house there. Saudi Arabia now has a kabbat. Well, it's not an official kabbat house, but the guy who says he's kabbat. They even have a mikveh and a school there and everything. So I just want to point out to you that while some countries are still have these deep-rooted problems, there are a lot of countries that are getting better.
Where's
I just want to
you
point
don't
out, hold on,
think the
Holly, I want to say one
problem
more
is
thing.
stemming
I just want to say, I
from
just
how
want
the
to say one more
Palestinians
thing,
have been treated since
I just want to
48?
point out, that a lot of people say like Jews aren't safe in Europe and aren't safe in Australia, and it's true that there's anti-Semitic attacks there, 100%. But I know a lot of people who travel. My friends travel religiously, and I'm telling you, I know people who have recently gone to Australia, recently toured Europe, and they are Hasidic Jews.
Mhm.
They look very Jewish. I mean, they dress in the garb, and yes, they did see like free
But don't
Palestine.
you hate? But don't
Dude,
you
I'm
hate the
almost done. I'm
fact?
almost done. I'm almost done.
Don't you
One more
hate the fact
second.
that they have that thought in the back of
I'm
their head
almost
all
done.
the
I'm
time?
almost
That
done. I'm
little
almost done.
fear. I hate that they have to go through that.
Okay, I'm almost done. I'm trying to make a point. Yes, they saw free Palestine spray painted on the walls of Vienna, but the thing is, like, or Venice, I can't remember which one. But the thing is, like, nobody bothered them. Do I feel bad that us Jews have to live? Listen, I live in Crown Heights, and there's 3 anti-Semitic attacks here sometimes a week. So I feel bad, yes, that people assault Jewish people for being Jewish, but it's as old as time, right? It's been even before they, like someone famously said, they hated us even before, the Zionist movement. Even before Israel, people were attacking Jews. So I don't connect the all the anti-Semitism with Israel because, again, even if there was no Israel, they would still dislike us. I like here in Crown Heights, it's not because of Israel, just because they don't like Jews. So I just think, honestly, like I think that trying to like be
I
like,
don't know how much of the anti-Semitism can be blamed on just Jewishness versus what's happening in
I
Israel right
think I
now.
think I think I
I
think
don't know.
anti-Semitism can just be blamed on people being awful people, just like Islamophobia can just be blamed on people being awful people, right? I don't think Islamophobia, has to do with, like, for example, that the Muslims are attacking somebody in a certain country, which they are in many countries. I think it's just because people are awful people and they're bigots. I don't think there's any justification for Islamophobia or
Do you
anti-Semitism.
think Ben
And,
Gvir
and
and
however,
Smotrich are
and, and,
bigots?
and however people, I'll answer that in a second. However people try to justify their hate and their bigotry and hate makes no sense against anybody. I want to say something. I'm not a fan of Ben Gvir. He came to my neighborhood, and the synagogue hosted him, and I was very much against that. I think Ben Gvir is a destructive voice in this conflict. I think Smotrich is too. I think they are not helping the situation. I think they're just hurting the situation. So I don't
But,
appreciate their
but
input.
right, but the thing is, you say that they hurt the Israeli, the how
They
people view
hurt
Israelis.
everybody. They hurt
Right. They
everybody.
do. But the thing is, it's not just their words. It's because of their policies are being enacted on the ground. Everything. If
Well,
they if
Polly, their
Netanyahu doesn't
words.
go along with them, they will collapse his government. So this
Right,
is
I
who's
know
running the
that. I
country.
know that. I know that, and I know that Netanyahu is often between a rock and a hard place with them because he has to go along with them, otherwise the coalition will fail. I get that. I totally I understand how the Israeli government works. And I'm glad you brought up that point because I think Netanyahu does things he doesn't want to do sometimes to keep his coalition together. That being said, someone brought up a very valid point. The Ben Gvir and Smotrich have nothing to do with Gaza. They talk a lot of smack, but they don't make the decisions when it comes to Gaza. They're not. That's not like their department. But Smotrich has increased settlements like extreme, and I'm very much against Smotrich doing that. But I think honestly, there's going to be elections in November, and from what I understand, Ben Gvir and Smotrich are not going to win any. Like they're not going to win a seat or whatever, and Netanyahu's not going to be reelected. So I do think that the Israelis will probably vote in people who are right wing because the Israelis have gone more to the right. But I don't think they'll be as right wing as Ben Gvir and Smotrich. I think people saw the result of Ben Gvir and Smotrich, and I think they're done with them.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Why doesn't Israel just expand it all the way and treat everyone like they treat the Arabs of Israel and give them
Polly, Polly,
citizenship?
I had an Israeli Arab that told me that was his wish because he lived so well under Israel.
Mhm.
I think that could happen actually. But if that did happen, I think the Palestinians of the West Bank, not just because like they wouldn't want to become citizens of Israel, the people in East Jerusalem choose to be residents on citizens even though they can apply for it. I also think so they wouldn't be like a Arab majority, Palestinian majority population. The people would become residents and not be able to vote in national elections, just be able to vote in local elections. I think that would work to keep the Jewish majority. But am I for Israel annexing the West Bank and reselling Gaza? The only reason I'm against that because I think living under Israel is good for the most part. Yeah, there's some problems, but I think it's better than what they currently have. Because I know the Palestinians ultimately want self-determination, and I don't want to take that away from them. And if the West Bank and Gaza gets annexed, and not me personally, you know what I mean, they'll never have self-determination. And I want to see them when they will live peacefully side by side with Israel, give up this river to the sea dream, and not try to attack Israel. I want
I
them to
think
have
even
self-determination.
I think even H Group amended their charter to accept
Polly, do you listen to
67
H Group? I have a
work.
question. Do you listen to their statements? Like they come out with a statement like every other day. Do you listen to
I'm
them?
on Telegram all the time. I get everything
I
minute by
wouldn't. I
minute.
wouldn't trust Telegram unless unless somebody verifies it.
I mean,
Uh,
it's literally directly from a
Okay,
bunch
well,
of
whatever,
channels,
whatever. The point
right?
I'm trying to make is if you listen to them, not like whatever, listen to whatever they put in there, whatever, they literally say they want all the land. I mean, they say it over, they just keep repeating themselves about that.
They keep saying that they want the end of the occupation.
They keep saying they want Palestine from the river. I mean, if you're going to deny that H Group wants all of Israel, I just think you're not living in reality. But listen, I've got to go because I have to make a phone call,
All right,
and
take care.
there's some things I have to do. But I want to say it was very nice to talk to you, and I hope you have a great day.
Appreciate it. Thank you.